Welcome back, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. For those of you who do not know me, I am Hayden Clark, and this is my garage. And I am currently working on a 1978 Chevy Malibu, which I am slowly but surely rebuilding and putting back together and turning into the ultimate burnout and donut machine. In my last episode, if you guys watched that, you'll know that I was unable to put the brake rotors on the car because they did not make it to my lovely little state in time. I had to order them in, unfortunately, but whatever. It is what it is. So that's what I'm going to do today. But not only am I going to put these on the car, I'm also going to do something that we like to do in the custom car world, which is paint the hat of the rotor, which is this part here, and the edges of the rotors. We do that mainly to give the car a little bit of an extra, pizzazz, and also to protect it from rusting, because if you guys know, if you take a steel rotor like this, throw it on your car, go drive it for a couple weeks, the whole thing's rusted except for the face of the rotor where the brake pad rides. And it just looks nasty. To some people, that may not matter. To people like me and you, who like to take care of their stuff and like clean stuff when they work on their cars, it matters. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you the process that we go through. It's kind of tedious, but it's worth it in the end. Check it out. If you have ever bought brake rotors before, you will know that they come to you nice and oily. Well, that's bad if you want to paint stuff. Paint doesn't stick to oil, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do first is clean it with some brake cleaner. And I'm wearing gloves because there are oils on your skin, obviously, and if you touch the surface of the rotor a lot, the oils on your skin will cause the face of the rotor to rust, and I don't like that. I don't want it. It'll be a hot minute before I actually get to drive this car, so I want it to stay looking pretty for as long as I can. When people come over to the house and they want to look at the car and they go, "Ooh, shiny parts," and I'm like, I know, shiny parts. So I'm actually going to work on one rotor at a time. We'll just set this on the side for a little bit. Okay, as I mentioned before, I'm going to paint the hat of the rotor. So basically from this corner up all the way into there. I won't paint down inside of here. I don't need paint on the races or anything like that. I'll also paint this edge here. And maybe if I feel like it, I might paint this inside of here. So the next step is to mask it. When it comes to masking something like this, there are several ways you can do it. There are some really super fast and junky kind of ways you can do it, or there are some really fine and intricate ways of doing it. Obviously, I'm masking something circular. So, to make my life slightly easier, I said slightly, I'm going to use what's known as fine line tape. Basically what this is a vinyl tape, so it's really flexible and kind of stretchy, and it allows you to make turns, which is really good for us. I don't know if you can see it, there's a groove that runs right here inside the hat of the rotor. I'm actually going to tape right to the outside of that groove, and I'm going to use this fine line tape to start a border, and then I'll come back in with some 1.5 inch tape and mask off the rest of the face of the rotor. And there you have it. Now that I have this perimeter border that I wanted, I'm going to take 1.5 inch masking tape. And this may look a little hackish, I guess, or wasteful, which it probably is. I'm going to go around the rotor just like this. Just like that. Woohoo! All right, now we're done. Let's paint, right? No. You're probably looking at this going, my goodness, Hayden, that looks like garbage. You're right, it does look like garbage. But we're going to take a nice brand new razor blade, and we are going to trace out the very edge of the rotor. All right, now we'll just flip it over and do the other side. Missed. Okay, now that I have these brake rotors all masked up, what I'm going to do is come in here with a little bit of a red Scotch-Brite and just scuff up the hat of the rotor. That way there is some sort of tooth for it to stick to. Is this enough? I don't know that I wouldn't trust it on a high-end show car. Normally when we're prepping rotors, we will actually tape them up and mask them really good and actually sandblast these areas and then seal and paint them. But I'm not going to do that because I don't care that much about it. So hopefully a red Scotch-Brite will put just enough tooth on it that it'll last long enough. Now we get to clean them again and then we're going to go paint. Woohoo! These are all nice and cleaned up and ready to paint. What I'm painting them with is just this Duplicolor caliper paint. You know, I don't really trust much that comes out of an aerosol can. It says it withstands up to 500 degrees of temperature. Who knows if that's true, but it'll keep these from rusting and making them look like garbage. And because my Uncle Jesse loves me very much and he wants me to live a long and healthy life, I'm going to wear a respirator while I do this, even though the door's open. Protect yourself out there. Let's paint some stuff. Oh, look at that. They look so much better already. Give them about 10 minutes to flash off and then I'll do one more coat. I gotta get out of here, the fumes are killing me. So while we're waiting for the rotors to dry, we still need to put on these backing plates that I didn't put on in the last episode. So I went down to the store and I went ahead and got myself some new hardware. That way I could throw on these backing plates. And then I also got some new wheel bearings that we will have to install in the brake rotor / hub assembly as well. So let's get these thrown on and maybe the paint will be dry enough to unmask. Perfect, those are on, ready for the rotors to go on. But first, let's pack the wheel bearings with grease. So, I know a lot of people know how to pack bearings, but a lot of people might not know how to pack bearings. Yummy. So I'm gonna just show you real quick how to pack bearings. It's pretty easy. Just get yourself some wheel bearing grease. Super cheap. We'll start with this one. This is the inner wheel bearing. And what you just wanna do is take a glob of grease, put a glob of that in your palm. And then what you're gonna do is basically just take the wheel bearing and just mush the grease into the wheel bearing. Just mush it in. And this is very messy, so I do recommend wearing gloves. And basically you wanna just do it front and back. You want to push and turn the bearing so you're getting in behind all the bearings. You want it to start to splurge out the outside here. Once it starts doing that, you know you've got enough in it. Oh yeah, I love making a mess. Yes. I think we'll just go ahead and get a little bit more. We'll just go around a couple more times just to make sure we got it all. I love wheel bearing grease, Mr. Powers. Okay, I think they're dry enough. Let's go ahead and unmask them. So what do you think, guys? It looks pretty good, huh? Got that nice shiny surface. It's all black on the inside, the outside. I'm happy. Now we can throw these bad boys on the car. Before I go ahead and put these on, we need to install the rear or the inner bearing and the rear wheel seal. So before I put the new bearing in, I'm just going to coat the race with a little bit of grease just so it's coated and ready to go. And then we'll grab the new inner wheel bearing, just set him in there like so. Oh yeah, we got grease. Now we can go ahead and stick the inner wheel seal in. Voila, it's in. All right, cool. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of grease and just grease up this little rubber edge here just so it's not going on dry. Bam! This rotor is ready to go on the car. Okay, real quick before I install the brake rotor hub assembly, I'm just going to go ahead and coat the spindle in a nice coat of grease. So it's all ready to go. I cleaned it off before I did this. Just sprayed some brake cleaner on it, wiped it off really good. Don't want any big chunks of dirt rolling around in here with your bearings, so it's a good idea to just go ahead and clean it up and then put a nice coat of grease on it. And then we're ready to go ahead and slide our rotor on. As you can see, we have our inner bearing and wheel seal already in place, so all we gotta do is just slip that right on, give it a little shove, it's in. Here is our new outer bearing. Oh, I forgot to put a little bit of grease on the inner wheel. I forgot to put a little bit of grease on this outside wheel, this bearing race. So I did that. We'll go ahead and shove the new wheel bearing in, like so, and then we'll get our retaining washer and shove it in there. And then the castle nut is next. go over this, we'll just use the old crescent wrench. Now in tightening these down, these don't need to be extremely tight. Snug is about as tight as you want it. And you want to be able to get your cotter pin through there and tighten that down. We don't have any play in the wheel bearings, so they're on there good. I think that's tight enough. I can see the hole. Maybe we'll go just a snug tighter, just a smidge tighter. And it still spins. Oh, that looks so much better. Yeah, buddy. What do you guys think? Check it out. Doesn't that look killer? That looks way better than what that would have done. Sweet. Now we get to do the exciting part of putting the brake calipers back on. Like I said, these brake calipers were brand new, so they actually never got used. Oh, they got used one time. So I don't feel at all bad putting these bad boys back on here. It's so cool to see this finally start coming back together. A lot of hard work in here, but it's worth it, I promise. And now, the final and finishing touch, the dust cap. I'm aware there is no cotter pin on that. Car ain't going anywhere for a minute. I don't have any cotter pins. I will pop this back off. I just want to see it finished. Oh, yeah. Oh, buddy, she's ready to stop. Oh, I feel like it's been a very long time coming. What do you think, guys? Like, is it worth the work? I mean, granted, you take a rotor that looks like this, obviously it wouldn't have the rust on the face of the rotor. This has been in the back of my truck for a while. You see how that's got all that rust on it, and the edge of that's all nice and rusty, and that's rusty? Well, I think it is very much worth it. So it's an option out there. It wasn't very hard to do. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. There's one more thing that'll make me even happier. 1 second. Heck yeah, guys. I know the wheel's a little dirty, but just seeing it back on there makes me super, super happy. Makes me super, super excited, and it motivates me to keep going and keep pushing. I'm super happy with how all of this turned out. I'm super excited to be able to drive this car. It's still a ways away, but it's that much closer, and it's all about getting out there and making just a little bit of progress each and every single time you work on your project. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you got some motivation or some value out of it, and I hope you'll be back for the next one. Have a good one. Take care.